azoy sheyavas rachamim v'yez rotzoy hay milfon nevechot tehei asho azoy sheyavas rachamim v'yez rotzoy milfon nevechot tehei asho azoy shas rachamim v'yez rotzoy hay milfon nevechot. Are we ready to go? I see the Olam, I see the Zoom guys. Are we ready to go? Are we live on YouTube as well, Gershon? What happened? We're not doing that screen anymore? We're gonna, since it's the first day back, it might take a couple of minutes until we get organized. It should go a lot smoother next time. Where's everybody? That's it? 7 guys? Wow. Okay. Huh? Maza. Oh, I don't have the, oh shoot, I have to put the, where's Yosef? Here we go.
You have it in YouTube? Yeah, we sent the wrong one.
Kadyas v'in Yisroel v'yaskin v'simchas ha'atoiro. Kadyas v'in Yisroel v'yaskin. But we need you to. B'simchas ha'atoiro. Kujabrichu oime lepamayo dilei. Kujabrichu oime lepamayo dilei. Chazu bonai chavivai. Chazu bonai chavivai. Demishtachim tzarod roi v'yaskim v'chedvos odili. Hayde mishtachim tzarod roi v'yaskim v'chedvos odili. What are we waiting for? Oh, I see. They're singing on Zoom. That's great. So why don't I just do YouTube on a regular phone? What? But we're live. Everything is good. We're ready to go. All right. Bruchim aboim b'shem Hashem. It's unbelievable. Rabbi Sai. Baruch shechiyonu v'kiyimonu v'giyonu la'azman hazeh. One of the things that we all learned during the COVID-19 Corona days is to appreciate a lot of the things that we took for granted. Freedom, breathing without a mask, just the day-to-day stuff, diving in a shul. And I feel like we built this building just for Daf Yomi. And we came in with such excitement because it was the beginning of brachas, beginning of Shas, And maybe we forgot a little bit about what it means to have a special place, one of a kind. And now we have take two. Today happens to be the Rosh Chodesh. We're on Rosh Chodesh, and we're halfway through Masechta Shabbos. And as David pointed out last night, we had 70 days of being in the Beis Medrash and 70 days out of the Beis Medrash. And now we're back. And hopefully for life. We're only here with 10 guys approximately. I can't wait. What? We're not fully back. We can't wait for the day that everybody can be mishtatev together and we can remove these silly masks. This book right over here, I started keeping the emails that I received from the first day of Corona. This is all in here. And I thank the Olam for the chizuk every day. It wasn't pashut, sitting alone, and it wasn't pashut for you guys sitting in your house, but it was unbelievable to see that not only do we not lose guys, we gain guys from across the world, and we're able, this Corona enabled us to get to know people we would have never known without Corona. Because of Corona, we adapted to Zoom, and now we know people from Australia and from South Africa and from the Chabur in Manchester. We know what they look like now. The guys in Borough Park, the Eli Dykmans of the world, Shirley Goldstein, the guys from Crown Heights, Shlomi Klein. These guys, well, the guys we would have never known. And Be'ezer Hashem, and we are pioneers when it comes to Daf Yomi, and we are pioneering a new thing. We are probably the only place in the world that has flat screens in the Beis Medrash to accommodate the Zoom guys. And we're prepared to have Zoom for the long haul, to have the guys around the world be mishtatev in the shir, to feel like they're part of the shir, and for me to feel like they are part of the shir. Not just people that watch the shir afterwards, but people that are inside the Beis Medrash and learning. All right. We don't have time for any emails today. Let's just jump into it. Be'ezer Hashem will go a little smoother tomorrow. I do want to thank, though, when I went to sleep last night, about 2 in the morning, I turned on the cameras to the Beis Medrash and I saw 3 guys sitting here and working. Gary Ben Moshe and Yeshua Aaron Price and Yosef Biliak. I don't know where he is. He's probably up somewhere, but the 2 of them are here now. They only slept a few hours, I'm assuming. Just to get the screens on. We have a screen over there. We have a screen over there. We're going to have more screens, larger screens. All right. Zok the Heilige Gemara. Tonight it's Motzei Shabbos in America, so there are guys that we learned that they like to do Zoom on Motzei Shabbos, such as Shlomi Klein. We had this kid, Moshe Apter, every single day from Montreal. Yoel Bergman, how can we forget Yoel Bergman from Chicago every single day? Faces that I have never, Weil, all these guys, unbelievable. Zok the Heilige Gemara, that holding daf, Ayin Tes, Amud Aleph. Oh, we have to what? I don't know who I have to say who the sponsor, but tonight is Saul Levy's son's chasana, one of the famous nephews. The nephew, I don't remember which number he is getting married today. Today's sponsor is Le'ilui Nishmas Ephraim ben Nashe ben Chaim Yaakov. Hopefully, the guys up there could put a scrolling Ilu Nishmas. Is that the plan? Yeah. Okay. Again, another one. This dedication is in honor of Reb Eli and the crew. Just to say thank you. You guys helped me keep my sanity during the Corona pandemic. Unbelievable amount of emails that said this is the one consistency that people had in their day. V'chulu, and it's all due to these guys, the Chabura, and the people that work really hard behind the scenes. They don't even get paid, and they're up till 2 in the morning. It's unbelievable. Zok Teheilig Gemara. You know what? This is the first time in 2 months I could do this. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvaroi. Says the Gemara, and I'm enjoying this brand new table for the first time. You guys have to see this in person. Or, kedei la'asos kameya. How much hide, leather do you take out into the Rishus Rabbim and be over in enough to make a kameya? B'ominei Rava Rav Nachman. So Rava asks his famous Rebbe, Rav Nachman, a series of questions which lead into the main question. So he starts off slow and easy. Hamoitzi or bekama. You take out hide, how much are you chayiv? Now we just read how much you chayiv. We just said, or kidei lasis kameh. That's in the Mishnah. Says Rashi, he was just he's prepping his Rebbe. Hamoitzi or bekama or malei kidisnan, like it says in the Mishnah. What are you asking me questions? You don't know the Mishnah about peh. Or kidei lasis kameh. Hama abdu bekama. And if a guy tans it, puts all the chemicals on it, how much are you chayiv to tan? Forget about hoitzah. How much are you chayiv in tanning? Or malei loishna. Maybe tanning, you need a bigger, small, loishna. La'abdo bekama. Question number 3. La'abdo, if I take out this piece of hide, and my intent is to go and take it to the factory to tan it, how much? Or malei loishna. In other words, how much hide that's untanned and has almost no use right now. We're not talking about a piece of cloth that I could write a kameh on. Just an undone piece of hide, loishna. There is no difference, as Rav Nachman, between a piece of hide that's before the whole process began and a piece that the process already began. There's no difference. Favos nisht. Umanot teimra, and how do I know to say this? Kidisnan. Like we learned earlier, Hamilabin v'aminapetz. If you guys don't remember, we have a lot of charts today. Hamilabin, if somebody tries to clean the wool. This is toiva, we'll get to it soon. Haminapetz, to remind you, to untangle the wool. Vatsuiveya, and to dye it vat like I showed you before, to weave it, to spin it. Shiuroi kimaloi roicha v'asit kofel. What's the shear? Like this. This is a sit. Kofel. It's like basically like gang signs. You know, like this. Do it any way you want. The kids are like this. You know what I'm talking about? What was your sign back in the day? What? Well, you had a thing back in the day? No, different. Okay, yeah, obviously. This is I don't know who something. Anyway, 2 of these, you go back and forth. This is one sit, you go back and forth. Kesit kofel, va'ireg, and to weave, beis chutim, shiroikim lo'irecha v'sit. Again, same thing. So weaving, sit. Now, says the Gemara, but we have over here 2 things. Hamelabin. What process is melabin? Where are we melabin? Minapetz. Look at this. This is unfinished. This is nothing. It's before the process started. It's not tavui. It's not in a thread yet. Yet, all these things have one shear. Because I am about to, tomorrow, in a week from now, I'm going to make something that could be spun and be thread. So right now it's kisit kofel. So over here also, since I intend, here are the guys on Zoom, Baruch Hashem, but they're too small for me. I do make out, no, I'm all the way in the bottom.
Very, very bad.
Yeah?
Very bad.
Oh, I see Seth Hellman. Who else do I see over there? Oh, I see Rabbi David Ben Ishchai. I see Yosef Biliak. Okay, so he's up. That's Moshe Apter, no? From Montreal? Yeah, he's saying yes. I see, I think I can make out Eli Dykman, although his name is longer on the screen. Yeah, he's waving his hand. Okay, great. I'm making out people, not 100%. I need a bigger screen. Avi Kamiansky is there. I see Avi. What?
75 not going to do much.
It's going to do Givaldic. I can't see them so well. And he's scrolling through the screen. How many people are online now on Zoom? 111, 112 people on Zoom. Beautiful. We're back in the Beis Medrash. Oh, it's shaking around. What, so my house has better bandwidth than this Beis Medrash? All right, we apologize. We can't do it now. Tomorrow will be better. So yes, you have a piece of hide that you want to bring it to the factory to tan, but we're going to count it as if it's already tanned and it's ready to go, and therefore the shear is the same. What's the shear? Like a piece of parchment that I could write a kameh on. I don't want to tan it. How much is the shear? So the bottom line is all pieces of hide have the same exact shear. But why? So now the Gemara brings a series of different things that perhaps you see that there is a difference between the final product and the raw product, that one has more of a shear and less of a shear. Hamoitzi samonim shruyim. If somebody takes out herbs that are already soaked, they're ready to go to make dyes. Kedei litzboya b'hem dugma li'ira. Dugma is a sample. So if I'm selling fabrics, I have a sample. One is red, one is blue. What size is the sample? Li'ira. Li'ira is, going back to this beautiful picture that Yoni drew, I forgot what it's called in English, but it's this guy right over here that you throw. If you saw the video, he throws it between all the chassis. These are the chassis. And this guy, the Ira, is holding onto the Erev. And he throws the Erev through the chassis. Now, he also is concerned that the thread will unravel. More thread than necessary. As he's throwing it, what's keeping a lot of thread from just unraveling? Like a wild, loose roll of toilet paper. Yeah, it just keeps unraveling. So what they do is they put a piece of fabric the size of the Erev with a small hole in it, and that kind of makes it tight. It's hard for the thread to come through it. So what's the shear? Dugma li'ira. The size of a sample for an ira. They're two different things. But how big is this dugma? The size of an ira. However big this, if you look at the video, the Hasidic guy, where was he? I forgot where, in Yerushalayim maybe. You saw the video of the guy doing the Shasi V'Erev? Oh, Ramah Bet Shemesh, right, in Bet Shemesh. He's local. We should go check it out. Great. So, I mean, the thing he was holding is also very similar to this picture. He was holding something like this big. So how big could this piece of fabric be that catches the thread? I mean, you're talking about like this big, let's say, you know? That's the shear that you're chayiv on Eitzah for samonim. Enough to dye that small piece of fabric. You're talking about a couple drops. V'ilu b'samonim sheinam shruyim tnan. And what about if they weren't soaked? The raw material. Klipi agoizim. You have this, I'm not so familiar with it. People tell me that this is how it goes. Let's say you have a walnut. So before the walnut or an almond, before that product that we buy today, that hard shell, there's a softer shell around it. That's how it's created. And the inside, the hard shell is still kind of soft. And then when it hardens completely, then that outer shell falls off. So these shells, the klipi rimoinim and the peel of a pomegranate. I guess you're making red dye from it. I forgot, each one has a different color. Sotis is a safflower. Ufua, madder. I once had pictures. I didn't have time to pull them up and print them. The point is, different product, the raw product to make dye. What's the shear? Kedei litzboyamim beged cotton. Ooh, that's a whole lot more. A small garment is more than, the end of the Erev guy, the Ira. Yeah, you're right, because that's the next word. Beged cotton lefi svacha. Svacha is what we learned is that it looks like a snood. It's like a tight, almost like a bathing cap. Like a swimming cap. So it's tight. That goes underneath her real hat, and we discussed it. She won't pull it off to show it because that'll uncover her hair. Anyway, it fits her head. Her head is a lot larger than, the size of a coin or whatever. If you remember last night, we learned the same kind of concept. Last night we were talking about water. By the way, does this screen disturb the camera? Are you seeing some sort of anything? A little bit? It needs to be clean. Don't worry, the boys that use the Bismarck today, they'll clean it. They'll all move it around and stuff. It'll be beautiful tomorrow. So, yesterday we were talking about the water, and the Gemara is going to bring it again. The water, the wastewater. How much wastewater are you chayiv? A revius. It says the size for the opening of that little oven, which is tiny. That's as if you already have the clay made. But in order to start the process, nobody wants to get their hands dirty. Over here, we're saying the same exact yesod like 3 times. Nobody's going to go, turn on the fire, bring his pot, start messing around to dye something this small. If you're starting the process, okay, for a whole beged, I understand, but not for a small one. If I already have the dye, then it's okay. Then it's a smaller shear. The little seeds that you plant in a garden. So, zarei nagina, by the way, as is, they're edible. So that brings us back to the sugi of yesterday, that if you have something that has one usage, you could eat it, a common usage, but it's not that common, versus a common usage of planting. But even if they're equal, even if they're both common usages, you go with the chumrah. So we're not going to go with the chumrah, which is a gregaris. The renegina pachas mekrugeris. It's slightly less than a gregaris. That's how many seeds. No, so what are we trying to get to? We're trying to prove whether or not there's a difference between the raw material and the chiyuv haitzah and taking it out into Rosh boy, kelach shel kruv. One stalk, in other words, one seedling, a leek. So on the one hand, you see it's one seed versus 5 seeds, or a whole bunch of more seeds, but it's not one seed. So what the finished product is different. Once you put it in the ground, it's a smaller shear. It's more chamer. If it popped out, it already started growing. Okay, great. You could already see the beginning of a leek. You see the beginning of a cabbage. So it's something. You just put a raw seed into the ground, then you need a lot more seeds. If you see that it started to sprout, then it has more value to it. More chashiva, so even one. Oh, so again, same svara. I'm not going to go out to my field, into my garden, and plant one seed. So therefore, the shear is 5 seeds, or a gregaris of seeds, a little slight. But once it started growing, then it's already finished product. It's like we said a second ago, like ready-made dye has less of a shear than unready. No, I think that was the Havamina. You sure? So then what's the kasha? Explain to me the kasha. Vilu basar de zarino, the Gemara asks. Basar de zarino, so it's already planted. Nan, zeva v'chol adaka de zeva kelach shel kruv de Rebbe Kiva. He already did it. So what's the Gemara answering?
The answer is that you don't plant all one. Before, when you have it in your hand, you don't go and plant all
No, basar de zarino means you're going to take it out, no? What's the zarino?
planting, putting it in the ground, growing it.
All right, that's why you're here. That's why you're here. Beautiful. All right, you hear what he's saying? He's saying that, what were you saying, Nachman? Repeat.
The difference is if it's in his hand or if it was planted.
Correct.
Not that it's sprouting already. It's not.
No. Oh, I said that it already started to take. Let's see, what does Rashi say? I saw it somewhere. I thought I saw it in Rashi. No. All right, fine. He's saying you don't need it to sprout. Just the fact that you put it into the ground. Now it's already chosh. So why is it chosh? Because it's already in the ground. Okay. Varitit. This we know from last night. Before you knead it into a clay, everybody admits that you need a large share of revi'is. We ask, what can you do with it? In order to make clay. However, basar, vilu basar the gavli tanya, once you already made it into clay, I'm very nervous now. 2 months, you didn't correct me. So how many mistakes did I make? He says a lot. David counted in 2 months, only 2 mistakes. I highly doubt it. It's usually 2 a day. So here's the kur. The kur, I just heard myself, I don't know from where. The kur is this oven thing that the special oven for gold, for other materials, for metal. And then you have this small little hole over here. Why do I hear myself, Gary? And over here has mapuach. What do they call this in English? You see, I could ask these questions. I get instantaneous answers. The bellows. So basically, what? I don't have that chat. Sorry. So, anyways, you put the bellows. Now, how big is the opening, the output of the bellows? Very small. So we said enough clay to close up or perfect this hole. It's a very small amount of clay versus a whole revius of water. Yeah, the hole is that much. You don't need a revius of water for a hole that much. So what is it? Is it a revius? Is it kedei lasis ben kur? Why is one different than the other? Obviously, there's a difference between the raw material and not. That like the same terms we had last night. That yes, if you have an unfinished product, I'm not going to go and start making clay with to make a small little pikur. But so memela, what's my shear? A whole revius. Once I have the clay ready made, then the shear is already a much smaller shear. Because now I can take it and make a nice hole or fix up the hole. There are 3 types of hides. We're going to discuss different types of hides later on that we write Sefer Torah, Mezuzah, and Tefillin. Now we're discussing when it's still in the factory. One of them is called matzah. The Gemara explains why. V'chipa, v'diftera. What's matzah? Kimashmoy. Literally like it sounds. Deloy meliach or deloy kemiach or deloy ofetz. It's missing all 3 of the ingredients. What are the ingredients? Salt, flour, and gallnuts. Here. If you don't know what gallnuts looks like, now you know. It adds a lot, no? They still have there forever, or it's just there temporarily between weighing. But once you weigh, you pull it out of the pocket and you use it. It's a storage. Okay, that's how you understand. I understood that it's there forever and you have to weigh it because to me, it would get all scratched up as you throw it onto the scale. So you don't really gain much. I don't know. Maybe it's storage. Vikama, Omer Abaye, Riva de Pumedisa, a quarter of Pumedisa. Otherwise, no Rashi says is a quarter of a litra. Not our liter, but a quarter of a litra. Chipa, what's chipa? Middle stage. The meliach, it was salted, but it doesn't have flour and it doesn't have gallnuts. Bekamish yuroi. Kedisnan, or kedei lasis kameya. So that's in our Mishnah. What's our Mishnah? Our Mishnah is this in-between shear. It's not completely ready yet, but it's enough that you can write on it a kameya. V'lo yafetz. No, sorry. Diftera. What's a diftera? The meliach ukamiach. It has 2 out of the 3 steps. V'lo yafetz, but it doesn't have gall nuts. V'kamish kedei lichtoiv olav es haget. Guys, do you hear Gary and those guys schmoozing behind me? Because I hear him really well. Do you hear him?
No, when they say you're shuckling, it's getting
No shuckling? I can't stop myself. Tie me down. I'm going back home, my friend. I'm going back home. If I can't chuckle, I'm going back home.
You need a better chair.
Wow. I can't say this, can't say that, can't chuckle, can't make fun. What could I do? Nothing. I'm tied like this, tied my mouth, tied my body. Great. Okay, we said this. No, we didn't say it. Get. So this diphthera that's salted and full of flour, but it doesn't have gallnuts, is the size of a get. Not a get with all 12 lines. Rashi says the main part of the get that says you are mutter to marry whoever you want, and what the name is, whatever. But it's a small amount. Smallest amount. Tani miyas. Kedei lotzaboy mishkoilas ktano. V'mabaya riva de b'bodisa. So now, one of the 3 shiurim is to wrap the weight that's larger than a kameah. So all of a sudden, now forget about, before we were talking about clay and dyes and whatever, and now we're talking about hide and leather. Hide and leather, within leather we have another shear called the size 2. I like. That's a great screen, keep it like that. That will stop me from shuckling. I'll see myself shuckling. So Mela, we have a problem here. We have another shear that's even larger than everything else. Says the Gemara, Hossam Bibi Shuli, just said 5 minutes. So we're talking about something that's moist. And therefore, if it's moist, I'm not going to tan it now. It's not tannable, it's moist. So therefore, the shear is larger. Vasnan, we learned remember this chart? So we're talking about Tumas Medrash, a Zav and a Zava that stand on something, sit on something. So if it's a piece of garment, it's 3 by 3 tfachim, not 3 by 3 fingers. Then you have a sack that's 4 by 4, and then you have the hide, 5 by 5. All of a sudden, we have a new shear called 5 by 5 tfachim. You know how many kameis you can make on a 5 by 5 tfachim? Where does that come from? Mapot, shisha, bein lemedris, bein lemeis. It says that's the shear for itzah. And you're telling me for kameya, what's going on here? Ahu b'kurtuvla. You're talking about something else. This right over here, Rabbi Isai, is kurtuvla. It's boiled leather. There's nothing you can do with it. You can't write on it. You can't do it. What do you do with this? You make a table. Today, people make tables out of leather. I've seen them. You make furniture. You make different stuff out of this. Maybe couches, car seats, whatever. Boiled leather. That's different. That's not for writing. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a different type of leather. Ayin tes amud beis. Klaf kedei lichtoi v'olav parsha ktana. It says in the Mishnah how much parchment that you write on Sefer Torah or whatever, kedei lichtoi v'olav parsha ktana, enough to write a small parsha of Shema. V'reminu klaf duchsustus kedei lichtoi v'olav mezuzah. It says how much is the shear for klaf? To write a mezuzah. Now in the Mishnah it says the smallest parsha of tefillin. And over here it says mezuzah. My mezuzah should be tefillin. So we have to be doichek a little bit and say that we're talking about the parsha that has the mezuzah, because it's called mezuzah. That parsha is called mezuzah. It's not a mezuzah you put on your door. We're talking about one of the 4 parshas in Tefillin Shorosh, which is Shema, which is called the mezuzah. The Karlu Tefillin mezuzah in. Yes, you could call it a mezuzah of a Tanya, and I'll prove it to you. Ritzui is tefillin, ima tefillin, Metamos es hayodayim. So I don't know if you remember, but we had in Aliyah's gag of Hananya ben Chizkiah, right? Ben Garoin. We had the 18 enactments that they made that night. The 18 enactments. And one of them was that if you touch a davar shebekdusha with your hands, Shalom Aleichem Reb Yossi, we have room for you today because we're missing it. We should have announced at the beginning that we'd have people coming from all over the place. One of the enactments was, if you touch a davar shebekdusha, so it says, what? You're metama for truma. So it says, Ritzua is tefillin, the ritzua, the strap of the tefillin, imat tefillin, together with the boxes, metamas yidayim. It's like touching a sefer Torah, touch a tefillin. Bifnei atzman, ein metamas yidayim. Just touching the ritzua, you're not metama. Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda, Imer Mishum, Rabbi Shimon ben Yehuda said in the Rabbi Shimon, Hanugeh b'ritzua tar, ad sheyiga b'ktzitzo. If you touch the ritzua, even though it's attached to the tefillin, not tamei until you touch the box itself. Rabbi Zaka says in the name of Rabbi Shimon, tar ad sheyiga b'mezuzah atzmo. You hear what it says here? Mezuzah atzmo. I like that screen much better. Rabbi Yisai, that's a better screen for me. It's less people. Now I see Eli Dykman clear. I see David. I see everybody clear. And I see Yoel Bergman. Yoel Bergman from Chicago is on. Baruch Hashem. All right. So what's the Gemara's kasha? Not a kasha, a raya. It says mefurish that if I don't become tamei until I touch the mezuzah in the tefillin. So you see that I call a parsha inside the tefillin mezuzah. Ask the Gemara about Midiktani Seifa Klav Kedei Lichtov Olav Parsha Ktana Shebat Tefillin Shehi Shema Yisrael Mechlal Dereisha B'Mezuzah Atzma Askinon. Why am I switching off languages here? I'm saying a parsha. I call it a parsha Ktana in Tefillin, and then I call it a mezuzah. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, mezuzah is a mezuzah like we understand the mezuzah to be on a door, and a parsha Ktana is a parsha Ktana, the small parsha in the Tefillin. Hachiktani Klav V'Duchsustos Shiurim Bekama. There's a question. How much is the shear of Eitzah for parchment and Duchsustos? We're going to explain what this is in a second. Duchsustos Kedei Lichtov Alav Mezuzah. Duchsustos, you need the amount to write a mezuzah on it, because that's what you write mezuzahs on Duchsustos. Klav Kedei Lichtov Alav Parsha Ktana Shebat Tefillin Shishma Yisrael. So you have Duchsustos and Klav. So we'll explain. I don't know, it didn't print out so nicely. When it was on, maybe from far away it's better. This is a piece of parchment divided in two. Let's call this red thing the animal's meat, just for argument's sake. This is on the animal. This is a parchment. You have to tear it apart to split it. And then over here, this part over here is where the animal has fur, here. And I split it in half. So according to Taisvas, this bottom part is called Duchsustos. This top part is called Klav. What do I write on? So, mezuzahs, I'm writing over here on Duchsustos. The tefillin, I write on this Klav. Sefer Torah, I can write on anything I want. But which part, according to Taisvas? These inner parts that you see right over here. In other words, this top part, which is further away from the hair, the other side of the hair, you don't want to write where the hair is, that's not nice. It's on this side. This side is not touching the meat. That's according to Tosfos. The Rambam, I've never seen this before, like literally, hafuch al hafuch, he calls this klaf, he calls this duchsustus, and he says you have to write on the hair part and on the meat part. Mamish, but let's go with Tosfos. Omar Rav, duchsustus harehi keklaf. That's all Rav says. Rav says 4 words. Duchsustus harehi keklaf. They have the same halacha. The Gemara understands now, and the Gemara is going to go away from it at the end of the sugya. The Gemara understands, ma klav koisim olav tefillin, af duchsustus koisim olav tefillin. By the way, if I'm not making any sense today, I have all the excuses in the world. I have these guys schmoozing, talking the entire time, loud, in my ear, putting on Zoom, different volumes, it's meshuggah. Then I have this guy, Yossi Rudensky of Magachir, comes in, and he starts staring at the screen and he goes like this. He's like, wow, I love it. Zoom is unbelievable. Kids, it's all like, Kila, I don't exist. But kids, it was much better in my house. And I was able to shuckle in my house. It was quieter. I might go back tomorrow. All right. Gary, tomorrow we're going to be quiet, Be'ez Hashem?
No,
No. Okay.
You have to buy the earpiece with the mic.
Mm-hmm. You have to buy the crew, those pieces. That's why they have it. Then he came here, he turned around my clock, so I don't know, it could be 7:30 right now. It's not my fault if I don't know what time it is. I know. Comes Rav with a bombshell. We understand until now, and the Gemara is going to be really upset about this. That tefillin, you write on klaf. What's klaf? The part closer to the here, this part. Comes Rav says no. You could write tefillin on duchsustus on this bottom part. Tanan. We learned in the Mishnah, klaf in our Mishnah. Which Mishnah? Our Mishnah. Klaf kedei lichtoif parshuk tana shebat tefillin. Shehi Shema Yisrael. So it says you write tefillin on klaf, not duchsustus. What did I just say? No, what does Rav say? This is duchsustus. Yes, is that what I said before? Duchsustus is the one closer to the animal. You could write it on that. We understand until now that you write it on the klaf. In fact, our own Mishnah says, what's the shear of klaf? To write a parshuk tana of tefillin, meaning this part, the klaf part. Who talks about duchsustus? You can't write tefillin on duchsustus. Says the Gemara mitzvah. Yes, if you want to be yoytze lechatchila, you write it on the duchsustus. Rav says, on the klaf. Rav says, if I did it after the fact, then b'di'evet am yoytze even on duchsustus. Toshma, halacha l'Moshe Messinai, tefillin ala klaf, u'mezuzah ala duchsustus. We learned halacha Moshe Messinai that what? Tefillin goes on klaf. Tefillin on klaf. This is klaf. Umezuzah al duchsustus. Mezuzah is on the one closer to the flesh. Klaf b'mokim basar, and klaf. You do it on this side of the klaf, not on the side that has here. Duchsustus b'mokim seir, and the duchsustus is on this side, the side facing the hair, not the underside facing the flesh of the animal. No, but it says mafurish that you don't write tefillin on duchsustus, you write it on klaf. Only mezuzah goes on klaf. Again, the same teretz, limitzvah. It's better to write tefillin on klaf, but if you did it by mistake or you did it b'di'eved on a duchsustus, you yaitza. But Tanya shina pasul, but it says mafurish. But if you flip them around, it's pasul. I'm mezuzah. I'm going to be doichik and say it's only referring to the mezuzah, but not the tefillin. Tefillin, if you flipped it around and you wrote on duchsustus, kosher. Oh, but that's not that great. It was a good doichak. But here, I'll put you in a corner. Vatanya shina bezeh bezeh pasul. But it says, if you flipped both of them, meaning tefillin and mezuzah, you cannot flip. Each one has its own type of hide that you use. One, tefillin you use on klaf, and mezuzah on the sustas, you can't flip either or. No. What it means, shina bezeh bezeh means something else. We're talking about a mezuzah, and you wrote it on a piece of klaf, this thing klaf, but on the other side of it, where this here, that's a no-no. Inami adchsustus b'mokim basar. Or I wrote it on the bottom one called duchsustus, but underneath the part closer to the flesh. V'boisema shina bezeh bezeh. If I flip the tefillin and mezuzah, what? Yeah, we're going to finish, but we had a very late start. We'll have to finish somewhere. Okay, we'll stop. Mom is terrible. We have shvuos to make it up. Is the Olam still on Zoom? Because I don't see anybody. I feel like they're not there. I need them. Oh, here they are. Just do me a favor. Look if Shlomi Klein from Crown Heights is on. Sunday morning I need Shlomi Klein on Zoom. Okay, here's a better way out, seemingly. You could say, Shalom Aleichem Shlomi Klein, and all your buddies from Crown Heights. What's his name? Allmark, his next door neighbor. What? Wow. Avi Mandelbaum is doing tshuva, and he has the Chazon Ish in the background. Unbelievable. It's a big step up from Jerry Seinfeld. Says the Gemara. Sorry. So you asked me a question on Rav. How does Rav fit into all this? He's going to hold like a Tana. There's a Machlokes Tanoim. Rav is himself the last of the Tanoim, at the beginning of Meraim. Rav Tanu Upolik. But he has Udi B'Soymechan. Tanoi, the Sanyo, Shina B'Zev is apostle. Rabbi Acham Machshir, Mishum Rabbi Achi Bar Chanino, V'Amir Lo Mishum Rabbi Yaakov Bar Chanino. That's Shina B'Zev. You know what? Yeshua, bring me a siddur quickly so I could say to him, oh, I have over here. Bekitzer, Rav is going to hold like this Shita. Rabbi Acher Bar Chanino, that says that it's kosher. If you flip around a tefillin and you write a tefillin, instead of doing it on klaf where you're supposed to, you do it on dursustus, kosher. I would have Noam say Tehillim, but since we don't hear him and nobody here hears him, I'm going to take the honors. Shira malo, ismi mamakim krasicha adonoi. Adonoi shemo bekoili, tienos nechogashuvois dekoi dachanunoi. Im avoinois tishmoyo adonoi miamoid. Ki im chas licho liman tivorei. Ki visi adonoi kifso nafshi v'lidvoroi yicholti. Nafshi l'adonoi mishimrim laboiker, shimrim laboiker. Yachei Yisrael el adonoi. Kim Adonai HaChesed v'arbei mo yifedus v'hu yivdes Yisrael mikol avonosov Acheinu kol beis Yisrael anasunu b'tzoru v'shivyo imdim bein bayom u'bein bayabasha hamokim yirachem aleim v'intzim b'tzoru levocho ma'afir leor mishuv legulo hashto bagolo v'zman korim v'noimar amen. Rabbi Isai, thank you so much for joining us. Beis Hashem, we'll all be here in Beis Medrash, B'Mashiach. Good morning, Akiva. B'mheira b'yomeinu, Amen. Oh, so what? We're continuing to talk. Okay, there's no Shachar, so I have a few minutes.